Number 1, the Cincinnati Bengals. No surprise, they take Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU. Number 2, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young from Ohio State. At 3, the Detroit Lions kind of go off the grid, take Jeff Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. 4, the New York Giants get an offensive tackle, Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. And 5, the Miami Dolphins tank for Tua, and they get Tua Tagovailoa at 5. There you have it. That's the first 5 picks. What say you?
All right, well, let's go through these here. Joe Burrow and Chase Young. No surprise there. I don't think we need to spend too much time there. Sounds like Joe Burrow, the interview at the Combine went well with the Cincinnati Bengals. Seems like the obvious choice. I think when it's all said and done, the stuff about Joe Burrow potentially trying to, force his way away from the Bengals, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll have him going number 1. Chase Young, number 2. I know they're flirting and they're getting it out there. They could potentially take a quarterback, and that, maybe it's Tua to come in and compete there with Dwayne Haskins. I think instead they go build up that defensive line. They could have one of the best defensive lines in football when you add Chase Young to all the first-rounders they have already in that mix. The Lions, they're not going to pick here, Buck, but in this mock draft, I can't do trades, so I haven't taken Okudah. I think they trade back to 5 or 6. I think it's either the Dolphins or the Chargers. My money is on the Chargers trading up to get this pick and to take Tua, because I believe the Miami Dolphins have a comfort level with either Herbert or with Tua. So if that's the case, then you could see a situation where the Chargers go up and get Tua. The Dolphins hold on to all these picks because they have so many needs, and they end up sticking where they are and potentially taking Justin Herbert with the 5th pick. We'll get to Herbert more as we go through this mock draft. And then the 4th pick, as you mentioned, the Giants. I know Isaiah Simmons would be tempting, but with Daniel Jones, you've got to protect him. You're picking up high. It fits perfectly in Dave Gettleman's wheelhouse, and there's big-time tackles to choose from. I just thought Tristan Wirfs, not only you hear some buzz talking to folks around the league that could be Gettleman's guy. He loves Wirfs, but I also connect the dots of what's the most conservative choice? It's probably the guy that comes from an offensive line factory. Then Kirk Ferentz has been coaching him, who's an offensive line guru. To me, it's like Dave Gettleman parking that thing right in the middle of the fairway, and that's why I have Tristan Wirfs going 4 before I have Tua in this mock draft going 5 to the Dolphins.
Look, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there are any major surprises. Tristan Wirfs kind of jumps up there. It makes sense coming off the Combine. Most athleticism that we've seen, he kind of fits the profile. So I'm good to go with that. Let's start with 6 through 10. LA Chargers, MEKHI Becton, Louisville, offensive tackle. At 7, that's the Carolina Panthers taking Isaiah Simmons to be a do-it-all playmaker. At 8, the Arizona Cardinals settle in for JEDRICK Wills, offensive tackle from Alabama. At 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Derrick Brown from Auburn. And 10, Cleveland takes Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle from Georgia.
All right, so let's go through these here. The big one, the Chargers at 6. I think everybody's just kind of assumed that Herbert would go to the Chargers. I'm not convinced of that. I get a sense it'd probably be more likely to move up and try and get Tua. If they can't get Tua, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they just went and solved the tackle need right here and go get MEKHI Becton to be that anchor on the left side. Talk about with Tyrod Taylor, wanting to be able to move around, make some plays, run the ball effectively. That's somebody that helps you get all that accomplished there in MEKHI Becton. Carolina Panthers, we've talked to Matt Rule. How much has he talked about length and speed on defense? Well, you don't get more athletic than a guy like Isaiah Simmons. You lose Luke Kuechly. Find a playmaker there at the 2nd level. The Cardinals, they can't run that Cliff Kingsbury offense the way it's meant to be run unless they can get more guys out into the route. You can't get more guys out into the route unless you address the offensive line. So you re-sign DJ Humphries. He goes to he's on the left side. JEDRICK Wills comes in. He's been on the right side at Alabama. You've got 2 bookends, young guys you can build around. The Jags, getting a little bit long in the tooth up front. Need some impact players there. Derrick Brown, I think, is a steal at this point in time. And then the Cleveland Browns, again, we see all these tackles run off the board. Andrew Thomas to them, although there is a lot of buzz building that they could potentially be a Jack Conklin team in free agency, which would shake this whole thing up.
Yeah, it absolutely would shake the entire thing up. The Cleveland Browns certainly have to get better with offensive tackle. I think the big thing that we've started to see right now, we've had 4 offensive tackles go in the top 10. We've talked about it on previous podcasts, how that position is really shaping up to be one of the strong parts of the draft. I think your mock draft certainly reflects it. Let's go to 11 through 15. The New York Jets take C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida. The the Las Vegas Raiders, Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. 13, the Indianapolis Colts get their quarterback of the future, Jordan Love from Utah State. 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher from LSU. And 15, the Denver Broncos take Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma.
All right, let's start with the Jets fans who are furious right now. We need an offensive tackle. Well, you just mentioned it, Buck. The top 4 are gone. So you probably have to reach a little bit if you're going to take a tackle here. Whereas you look at the other needs of this ball club, I have higher grades on Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs, those wideouts. I could endorse them taking a wide receiver. I just think when you look at supply and demand, C.J. Henderson is clearly the second cornerback in this draft, in my opinion. And I think there's a drop-off after C.J. Henderson. It's a major need for Greg Williams in this defense to get better play at corner. So you get the corner now, knowing you can circle back. You want a wide receiver, offensive line. I think you've got some other possibilities there in rounds 2 and 3 to get good players there. I think the corner position, I just think I could see them. Ideally, in this scenario, Buck, you try and trade back. Hopefully somebody's trying to get ahead of the Raiders to get one of these top receivers. You trade back and get a C.J. Henderson, but that's why I had them going at that position. The Raiders, all signs to me point to them using one of their first 2 picks on a big-time wideout. They get their choice here. They take Jerry Jeudy. Jordan Love to the Colts. Why Love over Herbert? In this scenario, I'm thinking, okay, you go out and you get Phillip Rivers, who's going to be your guy for the next 2 years. Justin Herbert's more of a ready-to-play-right-now guy, whereas Jordan Love, you could really develop him over the next 2 years, and it could really pay off as he sits under a veteran quarterback. Tampa, we know about Shaq Barrett. What's going to happen with him? Is he going to be franchised? Either way, long-term wise, they need to continue to add some edge rush, some youth to that edge rush group. That's why I have them going there. And then Kenneth Murray to the Broncos. A lot of speed, a lot of athleticism at linebacker. Receiver is also in need there, Buck, but I think they go linebacker here and circle back for receiver because of the depth.
No, there's nothing wrong with them upgrading that defense. Vic Fangio wants to get the defense right. They made the trade with Jacksonville for A.J. Bouye to put him at corner. There's rumblings about them maybe making a big player for Byron Jones. So we'll see. Definitely want to upgrade that defense. They know that to win that division, you have to be able to stop some of these top offenses that we're seeing, particularly the Kansas City Chiefs. They need more personnel on that side of the ball. Let's go 16 through 20. The Atlanta Falcons, JAVON KINLAW, South Carolina defensive tackle. The Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Miami Dolphins, Henry Ruggs III, wide receiver, Alabama. Las Vegas Raiders, A.J. Terrell, cornerback, comes off the board at 19. He comes from Clemson. And 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Patrick Queen, LSU.
All right, so let's roll through these here. KINLAW, to me, is one of the 7 or 8 best players in this draft, so that's a steal. It seems like every year you see a Derwin James-type player, Buck, that's a top 7 or 8 guy that ends up falling into this range. So this year I have it as KINLAW being a gift to the Atlanta Falcons. CeeDee Lamb, assuming something happens with Amari Cooper in free agency, you've got to replenish that. You've got to get a true number 1. I think that is CeeDee Lamb. I think he'd be a big-time target there for Dak Prescott. Henry Ruggs to the Dolphins. Again, highest rated player available at this point in time. You go out and you get Tua. Now you bring in Ruggs. This is kind of your exciting young nucleus for these guys. Obviously very familiar with one another. We know it works at the collegiate level. We'll see them together at the NFL level. A.J. Terrell. Clemson is just, look, Mayock loves collecting guys from winning programs. Got a bunch of those Clemson, Alabama guys last year. Come back, get another Clemson player this year where he could team up with his former teammate, Trevon Mullen, to give them some tall, athletic corners to build around. And then Patrick Queen to the Jags. Buck, this is a team, when you look at them defensively, they're not the same group they were in 2017. They've got to get some more speed and athleticism on this team, some more playmakers, and I think Patrick Queen would be a great fit there for the Jags.
Great fit. He would be part of a new nucleus. We saw Saxonville kind of rise to prominence, make it all the way to the AFC Championship game, and since that point, they're kind of falling apart. So you're having to do it with a rebuild on the fly. Patrick Queen would add to that. And the way you've outlined this scenario, they would get Patrick Queen and Derrick Brown. Tough defense, helps them get back on track. Let's go 21 through 25. Philadelphia Eagles, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU. The Buffalo Bills take YETUR GROSS-MATOS from Penn State. 23, New England Patriots, Justin Herbert,
How about
quarterback
that one?
from Oregon. I like that. New Orleans Saints, Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. 25, the Minnesota Vikings, Christian Fulton, cornerback from LSU.
All right, so let's go through these one at a time here. Justin Jefferson. The Eagles, we talked about them wanting to get faster. Justin Jefferson running in the 4.43s is huge because he's a big-time player. You use him in the slot, catches everything. He's just very natural, very instinctive. He's got a great feel for the game. I think he'd be a great fit there with Carson Wentz. They go him at 21. GROSS-MATOS to the Bills, trying to get some more edge rush. It's a great defense right now. You look at what the pieces they have in the secondary. You look at that linebacker position. But Buck getting a big-time young edge rusher you can work with and grow with would really take Sean McDermott's group to the next level. And now spend a little time on this one because I think this one created kind of the most buzz. And I want to also reiterate, during this time of year, everything's going to change with free agency. This thing's all going to get shook up. But I had Justin Herbert going to the New England Patriots, and I even wrote it in my write-up here. It's very doubtful Herbert's going to fall this far down the board. But if he starts to slide a little bit, I could see a team like the Patriots being a team to target him to move up. So how the heck does he end up falling? Well, let's go back through where we were at the top of the draft. If the Chargers are not a Herbert team, which I don't know that they are, so if they're not a Herbert team and he gets by the Chargers, then I think it starts to get interesting because I don't think – it sounds like the Carolina Panthers, they're going to roll with Cam for the time being, so we're assuming they're not taking one. Joe Burrow would have been the exception because of the Joe Brady connection. He's going to be long gone. So if we assume they're out of it, the Cardinals not taking a quarterback. The Jags, I don't believe, are taking a quarterback. They really like Minshew. You look at the Browns and the Jets with young quarterbacks, not taking them. The Raiders would be kind of an interesting one. They've got 2 picks at 12 and 19. I'm just not sure that's a great fit with them. When you look at Herbert with John Gruden, I don't see that as a match. So then the next one is you get to 13. I'll outline the scenario where you had Phillip Rivers going to the Colts, and that's why they end up going Jordan Love to kind of develop with the upside there over Herbert. 14. Everything I've been told, and I know you've heard a lot of the similar things, is that the Bucs really like Jacob Eason. So that, to me, it's either Eason there, which is too early for me. I would imagine more they kind of wait until round 2, potentially, to go get one. So then now, once this happens, you're out of the quarterback group here because you get to 15 with Drew Lock in Denver not taking one. Matt Ryan, I don't think they're taking 1 and 1. Dak Prescott, 17, no. 18 is the Dolphins. They've already got their guy. I've already mentioned I don't think the Raiders are a great fit. The Jags, already mentioned they already have their guy. The Eagles, Carson Wentz. The Bills have Josh Allen. How many times have we seen this, Buck, where you have 4 quarterbacks and we all assume they're all rolling, but 3 of them go and 1 of them drops? I don't know if that's going to be Love. I don't know if that's going to be Herbert. I think somebody would target either one of them, but I don't think it's a crazy scenario.
No, I don't think it's a crazy scenario. And I think what's interesting is where you have him positioned, you have the New England Patriots taking him at 23. What about if one of those guys begins to fall and you have Sean Payton, who loves to collect quarterbacks? Both of his quarterbacks are over 30 and 40 respectively, and means Taysom Hill and Drew Brees. Maybe one of those guys falls right into the doormat, land right on the front porch, and he's able to get a young quarterback to develop and kind of build around. That would be potentially interesting for me. The rest of it, man,
I don't think it's crazy though. I mean, I think somebody would move up. He's not going to get to Justin Herbert's not going to last to 23. But I could see potentially him getting out of the top 10. I would say the team that's most likely to take Justin Herbert in the top 10 is the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
That to me is the one that makes the most sense.
It does make a lot of sense because he does have a level of maturity about him. He's played in a lot of games. There's something to like about him. So he's smart. He kind of handle all the things. And I think that situation would actually be good because he would jump into a situation where he has a nurturing offensive coordinator in Jan Galen. I think that certainly would work. Let's go 26 through 30. Miami Dolphins, Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC. 27, the Seattle Seahawks take Trevon Diggs from Alabama. Baltimore Ravens at 28, DeAndre Swift, running back from Georgia. 29, the Tennessee Titans take Joshua Jones, offensive tackle from Houston. 30, the Green Bay Packers find their guy, Denzel Mims, wide receiver from Baylor.
All right, so let's go through these here. It's kind of interesting when you go and putting these mock drafts together, coming up with different scenarios. But when you look at where we are here with the 26th pick, and I should mention, I don't want to shortchange the Saints with Brandon AIYUK. I forgot to talk about them. He gives them a playmaker they can use opposite of Mike Thomas. Christian Fulton going to the Vikings. They need to address the secondary position. He ran much better than we thought, so I think he's got a chance to go round 1. We get to the Miami Dolphins. They can't leave the first round without addressing the offensive line. Austin Jackson, to me, only 20 years old. Big-time upside, can be a big-time left tackle. I like that move. You're a little bit lopsided with your 3 picks all being on the offensive side of the ball. But guess what? They got a bunch more picks in this draft, and they got a bunch more picks in the next one to go fix that defense. Diggs is a long, athletic corner with great ball skills. He's perfect for the Pete Carroll scheme. That's why I have him going there to the Seahawks. This is the one that created a little bit of a stir. The Baltimore Ravens, I had them taking DeAndre Swift, and some Raven fans have lost their minds over this one. Let me explain this here, Buck. I've worked there for 4 years, so I know all the people in that building, and I know how they think, and I know what they value. And they are a best player available team. They don't get caught up in need. Everybody's, they don't need this, they don't need that. Well, you know what? They didn't need a tight end. They had Shannon Sharp, and they drafted Todd Heap. They didn't need a tackle. They had 2 of them, and they drafted Jonathan Ogden. They didn't need a pass rusher because Terrell Suggs wouldn't even start his rookie year because they had to have Bulware, and they had, I think it was McCrary at the time. So you got 2 edge rushers. They draft him. He doesn't start. He's still rookie there. This is what they've always done. You take the best available player.
Now let's factor
in the point that who runs the football more than the Baltimore Ravens?
That's why you put a premium on those guys. Like, you put a premium on collecting as many, whatever. And DeAndre Swift is a little different.
Mark Ingram's 30 years old. I mean, he was great. I love Mark Ingram. He's 30 years old. This is a big time back that you're going to pair up with Lamar Jackson, and you run the ball more than anybody.
You run the ball more than anybody. He's explosive. He's dynamic. I actually like the pick with Swift going there. I know people go crazy because they're like, we can get a running back anytime. But, man, imagine what that offense can look like if you get a high-end player to do that. And so, you're talking about being able to eventually – take some of the load off of Lamar Jackson when it comes to running. We don't want him running to this level his entire career. At some point, we want to be able to dial it back. So adding a high-end running back with significant talent and big play potential, I'm okay with that.
And then those last 2 that you mentioned there, Josh Jones going to the Tennessee Titans. Sounds like they're probably going to lose Jack Conklin in free agency, so you have a need there. They fill it with Josh Jones. And then Denzel Mims going to the Green Bay Packers, a team that needs a playmaker. Denzel Mims has aced the offseason. Really productive there at Baylor. Then dominant at the Senior Bowl. Dominant performance at the Combine. Good interviews. Big-time speed, athleticism. Contested catches. He to me is in the mix as a first-round player. That's why I have him going 30 there to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah,
look, he certainly is in the mix. He has helped himself more than any other wide receiver that I can think of in the off-season run-up to the Combine and the draft. I would say he and Justin Jefferson are the 2. Mims kind of fits the bill, big, athletic, has speed, some catch-and-run ability. He's been terrific. So let's go. The last 2. 31, San Francisco 49ers, Xavier McKinney. And 32, the Kansas City Chiefs take Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle from TCU.
With the 49ers, I even wrote it in the description here on NFL.com. Don't worry about it. They won't be picking here. The 49ers are going to trade out. They don't have a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th-round pick. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them to pick here when they have some other areas they can address in this football team. It's a classic spot for them to be able to trade back, still get a quality player. However, Xavier McKinney, best player available. They have a need at safety. It'd be a home run pick if they were to stick and pick. I just don't think they'll end up sticking. I think they'll end up getting out of there. And then 32, Ross Blacklock, one of my favorite guys, Buck. Just really, really twitched up, explosive inside rusher that I would love to see paired up with Chris Jones to see those guys just get after interior offensive lines around the league. I think it's again, a great value pick and a team that's going to be playing with a lead. As many pass rushers as you can find, go get them, and that's where you get Ross Blacklock.
Yeah, no, look, I love both of them. Xavier McKinney would give them something that they don't have. You give them a kind of a big-time difference maker at safety, especially when you think about who they could be losing in free agency. And then BLACKLOCK, just another piece to the puzzle. They're always going to be playing from in front, so you have to be able to have enough weapons in the pass rush department to be able to get after the quarterback. Nothing wrong with that at Kansas City. You're down at the bottom of the first round, man. You take the best player available, and if it happens to fit a need, it works.